Hello. It's not. Hello. 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 Ooh, now it's working. I believe that people are being shepherded very kindly by Canon Gwyn and Jen Zhao, the inimitable Jen Zhao, over in the Great Hall to come back this way. So this is your 20-second warning. Because the sooner we get started, the sooner we can all go home and enjoy this beautiful sunny afternoon. All right, I've been given a joke that I can use. I'm giving credit to the Reverend Bill Doggett for providing this joke to us. Knock, knock. To whom? There is the gavel, so we will be called back into order. I need to have more of those. Those knock-knock jokes are very helpful. This is good. So, now, thank you. Now I have David Bagley pointing at things for me. It is time for us to consider our resolutions, so I call on Ms. Pauline Getz, the chair of the Committee on Constitution and Canons, to present Resolution 2301.
Good boy. No. You're welcome. I don't know about you, but I think it's time for a nap. But we're not going to go there. Madam President, the Committee on Constitution and Canons has reviewed Resolution 23-01 and has found it to be in proper form and to have been timely filed. The committee therefore moves the adoption of Resolution 23-01, and if it is seconded, I request that Canon David Bagley be invited to speak to the resolution.
Resolution 2301 has been moved by the Committee on Constitution and Canons. Is there a second? I recognize Canon David Bagley to speak to the resolution.
Madam President, the changes to the bylaws in Resolution 2301 are on page 43 of the materials. The existing article of the bylaws says who certifies the bylaws, who keeps custody of the bylaws, when they get furnished to the Secretary of Convention, but they don't say how to amend them. So the text at the bottom of page 43, adding canons 11.1, .01, and .02, all have a process to amend the bylaws of the corporation of the diocese, and I hope we're non-controversial.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying no. The resolution passes. I call on Ms. Pauline Getz, Chair of the Committee on Constitution and Canons, to present Resolution 2302.
That's going to get old really fast. Excuse me. Madam President, The Committee on Constitution and Canons has reviewed Resolution 23-02 and has found it to be in proper form and timely filed. The committee therefore moves the adoption of Resolution 23-02, and if it is seconded, I request the Reverend Canon Jeff Martinhock be allowed to speak to the resolution.
Resolution 2302 has been moved by the Committee on Constitution and Canons. Is there a second? I then recognize the Reverend Canon Jeff Martinhock to speak to the resolution.
Right, Reverend Madam, thank you so much. The existing bylaws of the corporation prescribe exactly how payments should be done and should not be done. Check fraud is on the rise, and payment methods are changing in the world of financial affairs. So this resolution will move the internal controls around the payment process to the policies of the diocese, which Executive Council can change without waiting for a convention, rather than prescribing any one set of payment methods within the bylaws. Was that clear?
Thank you, Canon Martinhock. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will now vote on Resolution 2302. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The resolution passes. I get to do my little gavel. I call on Ms. Pauline Getz, Chair of the Committee on Constitution and Canons, to present Resolution 2303.
Madam President, the Committee on Constitution and Canons has reviewed Resolution 2303 and has found it to have been in proper form and timely filed. The committee therefore moves the adoption of Resolution 2303, and if it is seconded, I request that the Reverend Brian Johnson and members of the Diocesan Youth Leadership Council be invited to speak to the resolution.
Resolution 2303 has been moved by the Committee on Constitution and Canons. Is there a second? All right, I recognize the Reverend Brian Johnson and members of the Diocesan Youth Leadership Council to speak to the resolution.
Right, Reverend Dr. Mother, Madam Bishop. I think I should throw in there Jolly Good Soul, too. I just gave you an especially long title, didn't I? Bishop and Director Preslar and faithful delegates. Any congregation with even just a few teenagers knows well and appreciates the vital contributions which these beautiful souls make to the life of the Church. Many fulfill liturgical roles such as crucifer, thurifer, lector, acolyte, and chalice bearer. Some bless us by assisting the sexton, the clergy, and the vestry of their parish in multiple ways. In our congregation, we ask that our teenagers each pledge to the Church, and they do so graciously and with thanksgiving. These loved ones inform us about the environments that they live in and the issues which they face on a daily basis, and they educate us on what they need from the Church to grow into their roles as leaders, evangelists, and dedicated servants of God. Let us affirm their ministries by giving them the good news of full seat, voice, and vote at these conventions, an honor which is well deserved.
Hi, my name is Matthew Millian. I attend St. Luke's Episcopal Church in North Park. The youth of the Thank you. Yeah. The youth of the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego have been attending convention for a long, long time. Beginning in 2015, an official youth program began running at the same time as convention. There, students explore a theme, engage in service opportunities, and spend time with convention attendees.
Hi, my name is Darlena Sanchez. I attend at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church in Lake Elsinore. Okay. In 2020, Youth Leadership Council was created. The council helps to shape youth programming around our diocese. They also engage in work related to service, justice, advocacy, Christian formation, and governance. We represent congregations from across our diocese.
Hello, my name is Nate Lepson, and I attend All Souls Point Loma. In 2021, we were the only in-person attendees of convention, listening to Bishop Susan's address and providing support and sharing joy with the leadership team, who worked exceptionally hard to pivot to a virtual program after a surge in COVID-19 made it impossible for us all to gather in person. In 2022, a member of the Youth Leadership Council was monitored by the Judge of Elections.
Hi, my name is Julia Lockwood, and I attend St. Dunstan's in San Carlos. And now, in 2023, the Youth Leadership Council is supporting convention in 2 ways. Part of the council is supporting the 33 students who are just across campus participating in the Youth at Convention program. And part of our council is here in convention supporting the leadership team. We have been active participants in our congregations, in diocesan programming, and here in convention. We hope that you will vote for youth to have a seat, voice, and vote, and affirm that we are not just the church of the future, we are the church of now.
Thank you to our speakers and to all the members of the Youth Leadership Council. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we will now vote on Resolution 2303. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The resolution passes. I call on Ms. Pauline Getz, Chair of the Committee on Constitution and Canons, still, to present Resolution 2304.
Okay, get ready.
This resolution is necessary to allow us to belatedly update our address in the canons, which still has us here, I think.
Highly, highly controversial, Madam Bishop. Madam President, the Committee on Constitution and Canons has reviewed Resolution 23-04 and has found it to be in proper form and timely filed. The committee therefore moves the adoption of Resolution 2304.
Thank you. Resolution 2304 has been moved by the Committee on Constitution and Canons. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will now vote on Resolution 2304. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please signify by saying no. The resolution passes.
That was a close one.
I call on Ms. Pauline Getz, Chair of the Committee on Constitution and Canons, to present Resolution 2305.
Thank you, Madam President. The Committee on Constitution and Canons has reviewed Resolution 2305. This resolution was submitted after the 90-day deadline and was approved to be heard at yesterday's session. The committee has found the resolution to be in proper form, and the committee therefore moves the adoption of Resolution 2305, and if it is seconded, I request that Canon David Bagley, be allowed to speak to the resolution.
Resolution 2305 has been moved by the Committee on Resolutions. Is there a second? All right, I will recognize Canon David Bagley to speak to the resolution.
Thank you. This resolution is on pages 46 to 48. The rationale is on page 48, the last page of your booklet, I note. And in essence, what it seeks to do with a variety of canonical changes to conform to the new canon 2.17 is remove the automatic linkage between mission not being incorporated and not holding real property that existed in the canons before. It allows the Standing Committee and Bishop to, in certain circumstances, approve a mission remaining, for example, after changing from parish to mission, to remain incorporated and to remain entitled to its real property with certain other corporate level sort of enhancements to ensure that the diocese does have control over it in the same way that would exist were it a mission. This has come into play because our canons, for example, contemplated that when St. Matthew's became a mission congregation, even though that was expected and presumably will be a temporary status, that it would have to terminate its corporate existence, convey its real property to the diocese, and then when it became a parish again, and this is what happened with St. Luke's a couple of years ago, have to reincorporate, get all the new taxpayer ID numbers, at some point reacquire title to its property. So this is to break that linkage. It's something that's been needed for a period of time, in my opinion, and I urge its adoption.
Thank you, Canon Bagley. Is there any discussion on the motion? I recognize the person at microphone 1. Please state your name and congregation.
Pamela Wade, St. Bartholomew's, formerly St. Mary's, which is a mission. I am concerned about the use of the word senior warden because it is my understanding that it should be named the bishop's warden, which we follow. If this is correct, I'd like to make an amendment to insert that the senior warden appointed by the bishop and now known as the bishop's warden.
All right.
Under
So,
the organization.
thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
It's in the first section under organization.
All right. So the proposed amendment is in the first paragraph of Canon 2.05. The second line has the word senior warden, and the proposed amendment is to change that to bishop's warden.
Yes.
All right. Is there a second to that amendment? I hear a second. Is there any discussion on the amendment, not the original motion? What? Siri has opinions. Okay, I'm going to recognize Canon David Bagley.
Just a note that although section 2.05, 6, 11, 13, and 3.11 are all set forth in this amendment, the language in question is not part of the amendment. That has been in Canon Title 2.05 for I don't know how many years, but that is not something being added by this. So that would be a new amendment to the canons that is not part of the changes proposed by 23-05.
In that case, my understanding would be that we should vote on the amendment that's already, well, what do we do with the amendment that is on the floor? Oh, wait. Okay. The parliamentarian has informed me that the amendment at this point is out of order because it's not relevant to the motion that is on the floor. It can... Okay. From the parliamentarian, if you wish to make a second amendment after the motion that's on the floor has been considered, then since it is within 90 days of convention, we would have to then put that to the convention first to approve it being considered and then to actually consider it. Or we could take it under advisement and bring it to next year's convention.
Thank you.
Okay, so is that what you would like to do, Pamela?
Wait till next year.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And so we will take it in under advisement, and it would be, if you will note that, Madam Chair of the Committee on Constitution and Canons, that we could go through and look at that language. Thank you very much. And thank you for pointing that out, Pamela. That's great. All right, so the amendment, even though it was moved and seconded, was ruled out of order. Therefore, we are back to the main motion. Is there any further discussion on the main motion? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. Voting on Resolution 2305. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no. All right, the resolution passes. Thank you very much. I will now call on Ms. Charlotte Pressler, our Director of Christian Formation, for her report.
Thank you, Bishop. Hello, Convention. I am absolutely delighted to share with you the joyful work undertaken this past year in the Christian Formation Department on the diocesan level. Work that created space and opportunity to grow deeply in our relationship with God and one another. Are you ready? We have done a lot of good things this year. I would love to highlight just a few of the things on this list. Let's start with the Epiphany Retreat. 50 youth from 10 congregations in full partnership with our magnificent diocesan camp, Camp Stevens, spent a weekend growing in faith and love this last year. This retreat started 7 years ago with 7 students. It's on tap for this next year, and I will tell you more about it then, but we have the whole camp reserved. The entire camp. We also, last year, launched our first ever diocesan-wide offering for Vacation Bible School. This curriculum was written and provided free to congregations. It was arts-based. You could paint, you could sing, you could create your own skit, and you could do it with friends in your community. It gave congregations the opportunity to welcome people back on campus after many, many seasons away. And there was so much more good, including a formation retreat, also at Camp Stevens. Formation leaders across all ages gathered up there for a time of learning and professional development, and also the opportunity for Sabbath. Those people work hard, and playing is important too. Good and joyful work of partnership and collaboration, all of which could not fit on this slide. It also included a gathering in July of our EDSD preschools in Ocean Beach at the Episcopal Church Center. There they met with the Associate Director of the National Association for Episcopal Schools, Monica Gillespie, and they learned about the state of preschools across our country, and they considered the questions and how they apply to their own ministries. Most importantly, they listened to the wisdom in the room, and they developed partnerships and collaboration and relationships that will inform the work they do moving forward. And none of that could be done without the support of leadership from around our diocese, from all of you, and our exceptional Youth Leadership Council. The 12 students on council this year represent many places in our diocese, including All Souls, Christ Church, Holy Cross, St. Andrew's Lake Elsinore, St. Bartholomew's, St. Dunstan's, St. James, St. John's Indio, and St. Luke's. Their leadership has informed the course of youth ministry in our diocese and partnered in work at their home congregations. And of all the work I do, I am most deeply honored to walk at their sides. And now that we have looked back, we can look forward. Many of the things that I highlighted will be offered again this year with exciting changes and deepened programs. I already told you the good news about the Epiphany Retreat, but there's a bonus event happening this week, a brand new offering for students in grades 3 through 6. Camp for Our Children at Camp Stevens. It is gonna be so fun. Mark your calendars now, it's happening in January. We will also have a return of the magnificent offering of Towards a Fuller Gospel. I was a participant in this program this year, and it blessed me and expanded my lens with which I view God. I encourage you to watch for it in the year ahead. I also was able to attend the most recent offering of Lark in Palm Desert. A big thank you to St. Margaret's for hosting us. And the team that led that was exceptional. It's going to be offered twice in 2024, and it will be communicated out when it opens. I encourage you to engage in that important work. Night Watch this year, which is always held here in beautiful our Episcopal Cathedral, St. Paul's, is actually going to take a pilgrimage. And we are going to take the 60 to 70 students that normally come to this space to our desert congregations. We're going to load up in vans, and we are going to go there instead of them coming to us. And there is a return to program, an important program. Leadership Academy is coming back. This long-held program of our diocese offers opportunities for new and seasoned leaders to explore topics that will enhance their ministries. As you heard earlier, it's going to happen on January 20th, so get ready, at the Episcopal Church Center. Workshops in digital storytelling, social location training, young adult ministry on campus, in your congregation, and out in the world. The challenging and transformative work where we change from committees to ministries that help all of us live into the good news of Christ present in our lives and the work that we do in our congregations, and more. Registration for that will open the week after Thanksgiving. We will build on the success and lessons from last year's Vacation Bible School with this year's programs. Shout for Joy and Adventure Through the Psalms, where children will explore and create art inspired by the Psalms and write their own Psalms too. But not just children. This year we will also provide a 5-day curriculum designed especially for beloved members already in your pews, our seniors. Sing a New Song is VBS for adults, right? I kind of want to go, so make sure you invite me. It'll bring the opportunity to write our own psalms, psalms of joy, lament, and longing. And don't worry, it will have all of the same things that we loved about VBS as children, just grown up a little bit. Perhaps at the end there will be an opportunity for congregations to share intergenerational psalms, maybe a poetry jam. And still there's more. Look at all of the good things that we will do together. All of these items will be explored and highlighted on our diocesan communications channels. I encourage you to read the e-news each week for details and registrations for all of these programs and the many other wonderful things happening in our diocese. I would like to close with a reflection on the group gathered here in this space. In the last 2 days, my heart has been filled to overflowing with the love and light that you bring to your ministries and our diocesan family. Thank you for welcoming our leadership team into your community. You have blessed me richly. If there is anything that I can do to support you, please reach out. Collaborating with you is my favorite part of my ministry. Thank you, Madam Bishop. Thus concludes the formation report.
So, Charlotte, I want to invite you to come up here with me, and I would like to invite the members of the Youth Leadership Council who are here to come and be recognized by convention. Come on up. I think there's several of you over here, yes? Do we have our group?
We do.
All right.
Other program.
Now, Charlotte, I want to say, every time I hear you talk about stuff, you bring up new things that you're doing, and it's so exciting. I love it, and they are doing amazing work. And so I invite you to recognize and thank these members of the Youth Leadership Council. Thank you for your ministries.
Thank you.
All right. I would like to thank all of those who serve on commissions, councils, and committees of the diocese. The following people are ending their terms on the following committees and commissions. From the Commission on Ministry, ending their terms are the Reverend Paul Carmona, who has served as chair for the past year, Mr. Terry Kelly, and Ms. Aquila Luke. Ending the term on Executive Council, Ms. May Chow, who had been appointed for the past year and has now been reelected, Mr. Jamie Gloriou, appointed and reelected, the Reverend Roger Henke, Ms. Barbara Peralta, and Ms. Jan Romerdahl, who was appointed, and I couldn't convince her to continue. As Secretary of Convention, ending her term, the Reverend Canon Gwen Lynch. On Standing Committee, ending their terms, the Reverend Colin Mathewson and Mr. Dara Peralta. Thank you all for your amazing service on these groups. Following the convention, according to our canons, I will appoint up to 3 additional members of the Executive Council for 1-year terms each. These 3 members will be announced in the next diocesan e-news. Closing business. Whoa. We're gonna get out early and enjoy some sunshine, but there's a few more things to do. Closing business, I call on the Reverend Canon Gwen Lynch.
Madam President, I move that all reports from commissions, committees, and institutions be received by title.
It has been moved and seconded that moved that all reports be received by titles. Is there a second? Now I remind you, if you wish to stay until 4 o'clock, we could actually turn down this resolution. Anyway, is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. No opposition. The resolution passes. Courtesy resolutions. I invite Ms. Pauline Getz, also in addition to Constitution and Canons, she is the chair of the Resolution Committee, to read the courtesy resolutions to us.
Resolved that this 50th Convention of the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego extend its thanks and gratitude to the Very Reverend Penny Bridges, her staff, and the people of St. Paul's Cathedral for hosting this convention. Resolved that the 50th Convention of the Episcopal Diocese extend its thanks and appreciation to our Bishop, the Right Reverend Susan Brown Snook and Mr. Tom Snook, for their exemplary service and ministry. Resolved that this 50th Convention of the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego send its warm greetings and prayers to the Right Reverend John Taylor, Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Los Angeles, our mother diocese. Resolved that this 50th Convention of the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego extends its thanks and appreciation to our 4th Bishop Diocesan, the Right Reverend James R. Mathis and Terry Mathis, for their more than 13 years of exemplary service and ministry in this diocese. Resolved that this 50th Convention of the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego extend its thanks and appreciation to our 3rd Bishop Diocesan, the Right Reverend Gethin B. Hughes and Lenore Hughes, for their nearly 14 years of dedicated service and ministry in this diocese. We wish Gethin and Lenore well in retirement. Resolved that this 50th Convention of the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego extend its thanks and appreciation. In my Rotary Club, that's a finable offense. Extend its thanks and appreciation to the Right Reverend John Bryson Chain for his ministry as Bishop Diocesan of the Diocese of West Washington and for his ministry within the Diocese of San Diego as our assisting bishop. We wish John and Karen well in retirement. Resolved that this 50th Convention of the Diocese of San Diego extend its thanks and appreciation to the Most Reverend Catherine Jeffords Shorey for her ministry as Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego and for her ongoing prayers and support of this diocese. We wish Catherine and Dick well in retirement. Resolved that this 50th Convention of the Diocese of San Diego extend its thanks and appreciation to the Right Reverend Anne Ratonia for her ministry as Bishop Suffragan for the Armed Forces and Federal Ministries, and for her sharing of her time and gifts at this diocesan convention. Resolved that this 50th Convention of the Diocese of San Diego extend to the Right Reverend Sanford Z.K. Hampton appreciation for his willingness to serve and be a part of our common life and ministry. We wish Sandy well in retirement. Resolved that this 50th Convention of the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego extends its thanks and appreciation to the Right Reverend Ricardo Joel Gomez Osnaya, Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Western Mexico, as we continue to explore and expand our collaborative ministry and future areas of partnership. Resolved that this 50th Convention of the Diocese of San Diego extend its thanks and appreciation to the Reverend David Nagler, Bishop of the Pacifica Synod of the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America, for his support of the continuing relationship and ongoing commitment to our covenantal relationship. Resolved that this 50th Convention of the Diocese of San Diego extend its thanks and appreciation to the Right Reverend Dr. Kay Ward for her support of the continuing relationship and ongoing commitment to our covenantal relationship with the Moravian Church. Resolved that this 50th Convention of the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego send its warm greetings and support to the Most Reverend Michael Curry for his leadership as our 27th Bishop and Primate of the Episcopal Church and faithfulness to Christ's mission and vision of and for the Episcopal branch of the Jesus movement. And finally, resolved that this 50th Convention of the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego sends its warm greetings and prayers to the Most Reverend Justin Welby, Archbishop of Canterbury, for his leadership on behalf of the Anglican Communion. And I move that those resolutions be passed by acclamation.
Thank you very much. There is a motion before you to pass the courtesy resolutions by acclamation. Is there a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion carries. I have been notified by the Secretary of Convention that our mother diocese, the Diocese of Los Angeles, has provided to us a courtesy resolution of its own. So I'm going to invite Canon Lynch to read that resolution to us.
The Episcopal Diocese of Los Angeles adopted November 10th, 2023, by the 128th annual meeting of the Convention of the Church in the Diocese of Los Angeles. Courtesy Resolution, 50th Anniversary Greetings to the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego. Whereas the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego, also meeting in convention this day, is marking its 50th year of ministry, celebrating under the theme, Keep alert, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong. Let all that you do be done in love. Whereas canonical and constitutional changes necessary to create the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego were approved on January 27, 1973, by vote of the Convention of the Church in the Diocese of Los Angeles, of which the congregations in San Diego and Imperial counties had been part since 1896. Whereas San Diego's earliest congregations were established in the San Francisco-based Diocese of California, whose first bishop, the Right Reverend William Ingram Kipp, conducted his first service in the state on January 22, 1853, in San Diego's Old Town courtroom, after being among passengers brought ashore upon weathering a storm at sea, having begun their voyage in New York. Whereas the 64th General Convention of the Episcopal Church, meeting in Louisville, Kentucky in autumn 1973, voted to divide the Diocese of Los Angeles, whereas excellent ministry continues among the Diocese of San Diego's 42 congregations and 20,000 members, now under the leadership of Bishop Diocesan Susan Brown Snook since 2019. Therefore, be it resolved that this 128th annual meeting of the Convention of the Church in the Diocese of Los Angeles, assembled in Riverside, California, sends warmest greetings to the people and convention of the Church in the Diocese of San Diego on the occasion of its golden anniversary. Respectfully submitted, Canon Robert Williams, historiographer and archivist of the Diocese of Los Angeles.
Thank you. Let's show our appreciation. And I'm impressed by the research they did. They did a good job there. I am pleased to make the following appointments and announcements. Chancellor Canon David Bagley, continuing as our diocesan chancellor. Yay. Yeah, thank you. I'm very grateful for Canon Bagley's wonderful assistance and counsel that he provides to us. Very grateful. And Mr. Chuck Dick as Chancellor Emeritus. We're also very grateful to him in our history. We are appointing several vice chancellors, Ms. Teresa Beck, Mr. Andrew Brooks, Ms. Polly Getz, Ms. Meredith Hardy, and Mr. Gary Powell. Thank you all very much for accepting the appointment. Appointed to the Commission on Ministry, I am appointing as chair the Reverend Andrew Butler. And new members of the Commission on Ministry, I'm appointing Ms. Doris Christopher, Mr. Robbie Ewell, Ms. Anna Garcia, and the Reverend Don Starry. As Bishop's Warden to the Cathedral Chapter, I'm appointing Mr. Steve Turnbull. As church attorneys, these are attorneys involved in the Title IV process for clergy discipline, which we hope we never have to pursue. But these church attorneys have been confirmed by the Standing Committee. Mr. John David Cowart and Mr. James Stiven. As Title IV intake officers, Ms. Megan Callan and Mr. Jerry Coughlin. As chaplains to the retired clergy, the Reverend David Bergdorf, the Venerable Cindy Campos, the Reverend Andrew and the Reverend Susan Green, and the Reverend Gaylord Hitchcock. I would like to thank the Right Reverend Jim Mathis, our assisting bishop for his help and support during the past year, particularly as our diocesan dean of our West Coast Collaborative School for Ministry. Thank you to Ms. Julie Mebben, who has retired as one of our vice chancellors. Thank you to the Reverend Babs Mears, the Reverend Ed Bush, and Ms. Stephanie Smith, who are stepping down as chaplains to the retired clergy. In other business, I will call on Canon Lynch.
Madam President, I move that the reading of the minutes of the 49th convention of this diocese be dispensed with, and that you, as the ecclesiastical authority, be authorized to attest to their accuracy.
I heard that second loud and clear. Is there any discussion on the motion? If you say no, it's discussion. All right. Those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion passes. For your calendars and planning, please note that the 51st Diocesan Convention, it will be Friday, November 8th to Saturday, November 9th, 2024 at St. Margaret's, Palm Desert. Thank you for hosting us. On your way out, please remember to turn in your name tag. And after the meeting concludes, I invite the Standing Committee, the newly elected and continuing members of the Standing Committee and Executive Council to meet. The Executive Council, both newly elected and continuing, will come up here to the chancel to meet. And the Standing Committee has been invited by Dean Penny to go up to the conference room on the second floor above the Guild Room. The Guild Room is over there where we had the military ministry panel yesterday and where you checked in, where you did your registration. So the Standing Committee will meet upstairs there. And I assume that, Dean Penny, are you here somewhere? Okay, so maybe you could like meet up here with the group and lead them up there like your little flock. Yeah, okay. So speaking of your little flock, Dean Penny, thank you to you and the members of St. Paul's Cathedral for hosting us. We are so grateful, and this beautiful space is such a wonderful place for us to gather. I would like to take one more picture because you have brighter tablecloths today, and why not have a beautiful picture? So please smile. Wait, no. Wave at me too. Thank you. After we conclude here, the team will actually need many hands to restore this space for cathedral worship tomorrow. So if you are so inclined and able to assist, we would certainly welcome your assistance, and we will assemble in the rear of the cathedral for instructions. So thank you for that. So, is the Youth Collaborative giving us a closing report and closing prayers? Okay, that's in my script, but that's okay. Okay, I think I will say the closing prayer, but let me just say, it is such an honor to serve with all of you. This is the most wonderful diocese in the church. I am absolutely convinced, not only do I get to live in the most beautiful area of the entire world, but I get to serve with all of you. And I am so very grateful for all that you do and for your work together as the body of Christ in this place. Thank you. And before we close up, I just want to say thank you to the person whose at this point hair is no longer on fire, I think, Canon Gwyn Lynch, for all the organizational work she's done. just a few ashes still smoldering. So, and thank you to the rest of the diocesan team over here. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, the motion passes, and let us stand for a closing blessing. May the Spirit of truth lead you into all truth, giving you grace to confess that Jesus Christ is Lord and to proclaim the wonderful works of God. And the blessing of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be upon you and remain with you forever. Amen. Thank you, Diocese of San Diego, and happy 50th.